Welcome back to episode 29 of A Brutal Vulcan Start. We ended last episode just inside the base, and we did pick up the last update, the bug fixes update, and it now seems it's getting hot again during the day. So I'm not sure if summer slowly snuck up on me and the winters are pretty short, or the update reset something. But we have pretty reasonable heat now, so we're going to use that for some smelting. Go ahead and swap out some tanks here. I'm actually going to switch over from my EVA suit over to my heavy suit in this episode. Let's see what's going on here. It's getting up there. I'm actually more worried about the tank on the roof. I may have to add another tank for that. Gas is accumulating. So we're just letting that fill for a bit. Yep, it's nice and warm, so that's goodness. And you can always toss some silver in there to boost it way up. Getting my EVA suit in a good state before I swap it. That way, if I need to switch back to it, I have a good suit. I mentioned this a while back in many episodes back. Given the fact that my whole base now has atmosphere in it, and which means I can go without the suit most of the time, it doesn't really matter if I wear what suit I wear outside at this point, and obviously having the heavy suit's better. So I can pretty much ignore the weather outside now, except for maybe storms. All right, so we're just gonna do some smelting. We're just gonna we threw some silver in here to get everything nice and hot. We're not gonna bother with degassing. We're just going to go ahead and make a bunch of steel as we're able to, and then we'll just make ingots for the rest of the stuff. And one of the tasks in this episode is start building out the new area that I can set up my more permanent furnaces with set temperatures, and hopefully that's some automation so I can start auto smelting, at least the basic stuff anyway. You see the storm has hit, and at the end of the previous episode my little weather station went off, and so we knew a storm was going to hit pretty soon here. Omni power transmitter that I printed up last episode will make some batteries. Actually, the batteries themselves are not that bad to make. So we'll swap out some of the local tools that we tend to use around the base with the wireless batteries, and reduce the amount of time I spent swapping things around. On that subject, another thing I can do, I don't do it in this episode, but probably maybe next episode, start making nuclear batteries, and just so they last a lot longer, and specifically for my suit. And as you see, I'll probably need one for my welder too. And then once they're all charged up, then that gives us a much longer duration before swapping batteries. Try to save a little more time. Just leave those on the ground for now. We need to get the transmitter up. Trying to gather up the stuff I need here to... I don't want to print too many batteries. So I thought about printing up this battery charger, but I decided not to right now. Alright, back to the good old heavy suit. I'm trying to figure out where to mount this thing. And the other thing I need to do is do some recabling of the power. Okay, so I take this off to clean up a little bit out here. Actually, this probably should have stayed. I've been using this to sort empty tanks that I don't need anymore. But I may not need it again. But if I do, I need to go ahead and figure something else out. Alright, so I'm going to rip out some of this cabling and put in some, place it with heavy cable. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. And then, not really sure what I'm doing here. Alright, so go ahead, we need a wire down here, we need a wire here. And then thought about running it down this way. I put it to the side because I thought about putting that large battery charger in there, replacing the APCs. And then I'm looking for some place to put the Omni. Notice my beacon's still on. Also concerned about putting it too far on one end of the base or the other because I'm not sure what the range is. Probably just look it up in the Stationeers. Figure stick it in the middle, that'd be a good safe place. I'm looking for the power switch now. There it is over there. And now our little battery should start charging. I gotta get this going here. We've effectively disabled power into the base. I closed those to make access to those wiring. Kind of figure out what I'm going to do here. Oh, so this is one of the updates they changed. They got rid of the double click and replaced it with, I guess, two different features. One is the G key, basically do a smart stow of whatever is the active hand when you hit G. The other is right click. And so right click seemed like right click does what double click did before. And you know, maybe right click did that before. I never knew it. And I kept doing double clicking. I guess I could reinstall an old version and double check, but I'm not. But basically I just right click to go back and forth. So if I have a tool, I right click on the tool and it pops in my hand. If I right click again, it pops back in where it goes. So I have tried the G key a few times, but I just right click on everything and that seems fine. It's actually easier and more natural and faster than double clicking. And if the right click actually did what double clicking did before, let me know. So this is a place where I should just get that larger charging unit and kind of squeeze it in here. One of those don't always copy what I do issues. Okay, so they're charging up, and I think some of the so this is interesting. I put it in my arc welder, and what I discovered, which I guess everyone else knows this, is that the charging rate is slow, and I know the charging rate's slow, but it's easy to out weld fast enough to discharge it all the way down, and then you're waiting to charge up. Definitely useful for things like the drill and the grinder, things that I don't tend to use as often. And now we have power back to the base, so we're getting those batteries charged back up. So we're just going to throw all these wireless over there in the pile in case we need them next. And let's see what's going on with our second batch of water we're making manually. And slowly creeping up there. I don't know, dude. I just wait like 4 episodes and it blows up. Okay, we'll turn that off. It seems to be enough. We'll turn that and get that next batch cooling down. So the next thing I need to accomplish is do some cleanup outside the base because I want to add a new extension building for the new furnaces. And I need to remove this piping I have scattered halfway across the base. So what we're going to do is I need to get the little bit of volatiles out of the base, out of the landing pad. So I kind of flip the gas input to a gas output, and then we'll just kind of turn this on, dump all the gas that's in the and it's gone. It's pretty fast, and then we have gas there. So now we have the gas out of the base, out of the landing pad. It's nice and clean. Yeah, double checking, triple checking. Turn that off. Now we can take the gas that's in the pipe and pump it back out. So I had a turbo pump on there. I just reverse that and pump all that, what's left over the volatiles, back into the main line. Then it's all vacuum, and then I can properly remove all those pipes. And so all that, trying to follow the line. And I didn't bother painting this stuff because I know I'm going to get rid of it. So that's the stuff we want to move. We'll put it over there, which goes over there. Yeah, it definitely gets confusing a little bit, all these pipes. I'm just double checking the pipe. Okay. Around there, around there, around there. We're going to pull that out. And once we pull the stuff out, we'll go back and catch up on the painting. Right. So we're going to dump all that gas out, and once we hit a vacuum, we can just yank that pipes out. Just let that chug along and it'll put in there, and then we'll back out a lot of that. We'll pull out that AC unit, and it's slowly going down. You gotta get right in that corner because that's the room. Yeah, not too much yet. I'm sure a lot of it's still pretty hot, so I'm sure a lot of it's still in gas form on the other side in the gas pipes. Now that I stopped combusting, it should catch up. Yeah, so I'm going to rip that out. I'm ripping that out. I'm double checking. I'm trying to disable this, and I put that together again because I want to make sure it's empty. I'm pretty sure it's empty. And because of the way they're changing the game, I'm being just trying to build good habits about avoiding magic gas, because it's possible I can disable, take this apart, and if there's gas in it, it just floods the room. If it's outside, it doesn't really matter. So this right here will be the walkway where those short pipes are sticking out of. I do not know where that oxide came from. That is so weird. There's like, was it stuck in the back there and not melting? That's the only thing I think of. It must have rolled back there and got stuck. And for some reason it wasn't melting. Did it get, did it roll and go into the input? I bet it did that. I bet it went into the input chute of the furnace. And since the furnace was off, it didn't bring it in, because it was. I checked the furnace. There was nothing inside of it, and then by disassembling it, it fell off. Okay, maybe that just went on. That was sort of weird when I first saw it. So I could just paint stuff in out of the corner here. making my poor little AC system try to do all this work. All right, so there's an active vent on one side, so that should be just atmospheric pressure there. So if I back it out in the right order, we won't break any rules here. Do the old right click, quick, back it out, back it out. No, that one. There's an active vent on that side, and then we take out, there's no gas in the valve. Take that out. All right, so that should have been a clean removal there. Now these pipes, once they hit vacuum, it don't matter what order we take them out. And we don't need that chip in there anymore. Fair, kind of move it a little bit further away. Yeah, I get a little crazy with the wiring cuts, and I think I break something important on this side here. I think right in that corner there. I'm looking for a wire, but there's one hidden, I think. And there, I think I break something important. Or maybe, no, that's okay. Ooh, that should be okay. So what happens is somehow I disconnect the satellite dish from everything else, and the so the system doesn't work right. I have to go up there. I go outside and just rerun the cable. I'm not really sure what cable I broke. All right, so we're still doing this kind of manual. We're going to replace the manual with some automation, some simple automation in this episode, so I can stop doing that. That's a big chunk of wire to make in one shot. I probably have almost the same amount sitting in gas form ready to be converted over, so that's pretty quick. Checking the filters. And the pressure's coming down slowly. I assume the Stirling engine is doing something useful outside. Okay, so that's all vacuum now, so I can safely tear all that apart. Checking what's going on here. I mean, I have it working. I don't think it's optimum at this point. I mean, I'm getting 5K. We're not. So, remember when I adjusted that last evaporation chamber? And, well, actually, I adjusted the condensation chamber. It was at 4,800. I bumped up to 5,000, so I moved it back down. Because if I make that second condensation chamber too hot, then the final chamber will not get cold enough. There's a delta between that support. See, now it's coming back down now. So it's dropping now. And so this is a good example of the importance of the ranges of those chambers. And, you know, you just can't. I'm almost thinking now maybe I need 3 stages would be better, more efficient than 2. It does require more space. The prep time is not that much worse, 2 versus 3, because you have to run on the pipes, and I prepped all of them at one time. It's a lot of O2. Just kind of looking at everything, make sure everything's happy. So there's definitely a lot more finance with the base chambers, getting those things adjusted, and what temperature ranges you want. I'm just kind of wondering if the other one was actually charging or not, or if I cabled it correctly, turned it on right. But they all seem to be working just fine, so. Alright, so this is all, and of course we're doing it carefully. I thought of a cool feature. Make a pipe wrench. A wrench that only works on pipes. And then maybe have a frame wrench. So you have a general purpose wrench and a pipe wrench designed only for atmospheric units. And so that way if you put it on a frame, it doesn't actually work. Probably not worth. Probably pretty narrow feature set there. So I'm doing it. We'll make this a little faster. So these are all empty here, so it doesn't really matter what order I do them. Now this one matters because this has gas in it, so we want to back it out or back it down. We won't worry about that little spot for now. Alright, so we got a lot of junk in our inventory here. Pull that out, and we don't need... All these lockers are coming in handy with all this extra junk I got laying around. If I would just stack it up on the floor, that'd be kind of interesting. Got a little too much cable on me right now, so let's go ahead and... Yeah, the speaking of on cable, so on the smart store, so you have two cables here in your hand, and you have a stack of 6 in your tool belt, and you do smart store, and you have open air. It won't actually stack it; it just moves it. So I don't think it is as... So say if it's the same color and it fits, you probably should just stack cables. Yeah, working to the French fries. I got a feeling this thing is generating a lot of O2. I always consider if you make too much O2, you have to vent it. So you have to put a really big stack out, you know, and have this big flame burning off your base all the time because you're just venting all this extra O2. And make it easy to find your base. There you go. That'll be the ultimate beacon. So you run a bunch of pipes straight up, and you just kind of slowly dump O2 out, and that should light up the area. Now you do have the there's still a distance issue with stuff. I think the beacon, you know, ignores some of those level of detail distance issues, but it's still pretty cool. So go ahead and now these don't matter what order I do them; they're all empty. Once again, just doing it carefully. Fortunately, no lava there. And it's only one pipe though, not a big deal. And we correctly removed the pipes there, so we can pull those units off. Yep, need a wrench. Just kind of looking around, see everything else that needs to be cleaned up on this side anyway. I think that big tank of, large tank of cool mixed gas is probably an overkill. I was thinking if I did this in the future, what I would do is I would set up I would line up 3 filtration units, one for volatiles, one for CO2, one for pollutants. And then on the back of those, I would just put a small insulated tank. And then have a single active vent that comes on and is input for all 3 filtration devices. And then they'd be chipped so they wouldn't overpressurize the output. And one of the units with the chip would control the active vent, so it only comes on during the when it's nighttime, and make sure you don't overpressurize it. But because what you really want is you want the the night CO2 volatiles and pollutants. And for pollutants, the secret is that just keep it under 5 megapascals, and there's no liquid problem. So, and the reason why I wouldn't daisy chain here, I'm just doing base cleanup. The reason why I wouldn't daisy chain those is I don't want one of the tanks filling and stopping the rest filling. So, for example, the first in the chain was CO2, and the CO2 output filled, then you have to stop. That means that the next 2 in the chain, the volatiles and pollutants, wouldn't happen. So by making them all independent, you solve that problem. And given the fact that night gas is, free, effectively, then there's no reason to chain the units up. Just have each one independent. I'm just seeing what kind of crap I have in here. And unfortunately, I removed my vent on the outside, so I can't actually empty that tank. I don't need to turn that on. Yeah, I run the water cooling manually because I was thinking just to do it manually for a while and then, get it cold and maybe the next batch automated. But I decided after a while to just go ahead and get some automation set up. All right, so what I'm going to do with the old welder and my old jetpack tank, which has garbage in it, atmosphere, I'm just going to find me a nice spot and toss in the lava. There's a nice spot. I wouldn't want to drop it down a crevice and have it sit there and doesn't find the lava, so that I don't actually watch for the boom. Sure that fuel tank and the lava does something. And I'm going, well, maybe I should have watched. Oh well. Well, I don't have enough frames to do this. I'm now kind of... So, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stand it off the main building, because I think one of the mistakes I made... Well, it's the pro and cons. I wouldn't say it's a mistake. There's pros and cons to the technique. So what I don't want to do is I don't want to put the new building right against the old one. I want to have like at least a 1 frame distance away. And that makes certain problems easier. But now I need like sort of a walkway. So I'm kind of like saying, well, how do we get over here? And it doesn't really work out so well. But I could probably I didn't want to cut into the lander platform any. So I figure I take these out, put some of these back. All right, so you kind of looking at this. So that middle, no, I don't want that. I want there. Yeah, so we'll do that. There's a slight touching on that one corner, but we'll live with that. So this will be a 5x9 with a little passageway. Now this is designed to have an atmosphere in it. And once I have this thing completely built, I'll create a vacuum and I'll put subwalls in it. And that allows me to open it up slowly so I don't drop the pressure to the main base too quickly. And out of steel sheets. Wasn't too prepared for this big construction project. Going with the sort of asymmetrical work. Now I have a lot of O2 that I've been accumulating in my O2 tank that's getting a little full. So I can dump some of that extra O2 out. Yeah, I decided to do this backwards so we don't have all the gas flows out of the trying to build good habits here. So, and we don't need these two anymore. Yeah, whole pipe we don't need anymore. Water pipe, we don't need that there anymore. As it will make this a little faster. We're going to yank all this off and clean up. I don't clean everything up on the outside. I can pull those liquid tanks off there too. So at this point, I can also go ahead and pull off those water and gas connections off the landing pad. So at this point, trading, I will only buy seeds. Although I do have to sell stuff to make credits for the seeds, but no more buying, anything else except seeds at this point. Which is pretty ironic because I actually get a seed trader, but I only have 12 credits, so that wasn't too useful. There's an example of they're putting things back and it doesn't auto stack. I mean, I guess it's a pro and con having auto stack or not auto stack. Maybe make an option to auto stack on Smart Store. If color change does not occur. All right, so get this printer and do some more work here. We got to print up a bunch of steel sheets, a bunch of steel frames. We'll have to do a whole bunch of flat walls. You have to run a wire over there and get an active vent going. Dump once it's all enclosed. We'll dump, and then on top of that building, we'll actually go ahead and put another array of solar panels on top. Probably we'll go with heavy this time because it's a new construction. So we'll go ahead and put the heavies up there, and that way I don't have to enclose it. I think I sort of promised in the previous episode that if I build any more, there'll be heavies. Yeah, took my suit off. Nice to be out of the hygiene issue way. Yeah, somebody commented asked about if I'm going to set up a shower, but at this point, I have plenty of water, but I don't have a hygiene issue at this point because the base is all enclosed. So I don't see a point of putting the shower in because I don't wear my suit that long. So what I'm looking here, I'm trying to look at a place to run a coolant line down to over here. Turn it off again. Also look at the temperature change throughout the building, but I need to run a coolant line all the way down. That gray line needs to, well, that gets pulled off there, so we don't need this anymore. So we yank this off carefully. We'll back that up a little bit. Now, if I run that straight down that side, there's no issue. This is also part of the reason why I removed that old gas pipe for the volatile, because it blocked running a coolant line down that way. Or at least blocked the way. Okay, so I'm trying to not have to spray paint more or reduce the amount of gray paints I'm spraying. Now here I have this error because I got a little crazy on the disconnecting wires things, and I go, oh, okay, obviously I broke something. And I'm pretty sure it was the dish upstairs I broke. Alright, I don't want to mess with this right now. We'll fix it. I'm looking around. Yeah. And it could be behind the locker, but I don't want to yank the locker out, so we'll just rerun a new cable when we're out there next time. Alright, so now we're doing the pre-painted pipes all the way down. And one problem with these big bases. Boom, 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 boom. And then drag things in the right way so I have the right color. So I figured we just bend it around there. Grab some more. And we gotta split some of these in half. We drag it from here to there, and now to remind you how this coolant system works, what it does is there's a CO2 filtration unit attached to it. Anytime it drops below 2 megapascal, it will start to filter up and add more CO2 into the line. Now, if it goes too high, you know, typically it won't go that much higher, and there's a reason for that. So we maintain the 2 megapascal, so as I add pipe, it's going to put in more CO2 into the line. Now, that CO2 it's adding is around 127 Celsius from that big tank upstairs. But the system cools it back down again. So, and we're not adding that much gas. Those pipes only hold, what, 10 something units. So they're pretty small versus before. Now we're getting rid of this thing. We find the right tool. Yeah, I pretty much got rid of the habit of dragging tools. Occasionally I'll do it. I think I drag tools when I'm in a mode of thinking, like, what am I doing here? What I want to do. But when I kind of know what I'm doing, I fall back to just doing the right click and moving it around. And should we clean that up? Just look what we have so we can restack these things. Alright, so we had this from before. We used this. This was from the old initial cooling system I had. And so what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to, so I'll have it, I don't have, and this does not need to happen quickly because, you know, there's a lot of water to cool, so it's not a fast process. At least the way I have it set up, it's not a fast process. I don't even like instant water. So right to the right of me is where I want the opening. So the best place to put the AC system is where I want to have the opening to the new area. And for those out in the audience, what did I just do wrong? So I did want to put it the best place, which is to the right. So I figured, well, I'll just stick it over here. It'll be out of the way and it's fine, you know, and close to everything else. But I did make a mistake in placing it there. And we need some more gray pipe. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring the gray pipe down. So there's 3 set of lines we're talking about. We have the liquid line, liquid tank, and that will connect to one end of the heat exchanger. we have sort of the localized coolant line, which is for the AC system, which will be CO2. And then we have the base coolant line, which goes back to the big tank, and that's cooled by the phase change system. I will cross connect the sort of the AC coolant line with the main base coolant line just to get gas in it. So it'll do that, and it'll pressurize to approximately 2 megapascal. Then I'll just disconnect them. So that makes it a quick way to get this line filled. Wish we had a liquid AC system. That'd be kind of neat. You just basically have an AC system, you can connect a liquid right to it. That's my feature request for the devs. Make us do heat exchange units. Alright, so that's all final. Now once I got kind of like, well, I gotta hook this up too. And did you all see my mistake I made? And then I'll cross connect these to get the gas back and everywhere, and then I disconnect them and start it up, and I'm happy except for a small boo-boo, which is the technical term of it. That wire is not going to fit. Well, bookers. I'll have to move it. Okay, so we'll speed this up since I don't want you suffering for my boo-boo. Now, once again, the problem is the right place to put it, it'll block the opening. So I figured, well, I'll stick it way over here. Somewhere over here. Stick it there. So I got my power line right there. I can rig that up. It just means I have a long pipe going from one end to the other. And I could move the liquid tank over. The right thing is move the liquid tank over one, but I don't want to do that work either. So I'll just stick a pipe across. I keep looking at the temperature, but it doesn't really matter anymore. Just force I have it. All right, we need to get this thing printing more stuff up. And we don't need our suit on. Oh, yeah. Figuring out what the heck I did here. I don't know what I did here. Okay, so I'm just gonna run a new cable down. I'm not gonna spend the time to rip everything out and figure out what the cable should be. We'll just snake another cable over here. We know that corner is where we have all the stuff going on, so we'll just kind of snake it down here and fix it up inside. And let's, oh, there it is right there. Yeah. It should be, turn it on. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We'll kind of throw this in our default settings of horizontal 180 and vertical 90. Let that cook while we get over here and make some progress on this plumbing. Alright, so that's our little localized coolant loop. This will be our base coolant loop. And we'll snake it over here. And then we can pull off some of these backwards. Connect it there. Okay, so now we gotta snake this all the way over. I guess I could have laid that flat, but then we connect these. That'll prep our local loop. And just about 2 megapascal, 1.95, close enough. And then we'll connect these back up. Now this chip is the chip we used very long time ago. And what it does is that if the coolant line is over 40 Celsius, it shuts down. I believe that's probably a little too aggressive. I think it should be 50 or maybe even 60, because 40 is, I think, a little on the thin side. I think maybe next time I'll bump that up. Now, our main tank, yeah, I'm getting cooling effect going on here. I got 4 kilojoules. It's trying. Now, as I added all that extra pipe, of course, it just recently added a bunch of 127 Celsius CO2 into the system. So it's got to cool that back down again. So it's got some work to do. Once it catches up with that, then you can start cooling that water. We'll muck around with our trader here. So while that's catching up to where the satellite got moved to, I'll go ahead and do a little cleanup. At some point, all those liquid pipes, I want to run a liquid line from the tank all the way down into the hydroponics. So effectively another pump that basically, once that tank that's kind of forward to me is the right temperature, then I will pump that, will pump it all the way down to the hydroponic room. I may need to add a water tank in the hydroponic room or between it. And then the next batch comes through. So effectively we have the water in the hydroponic room, which is our water plants from drinking source. And then we have the water that's in, we're going backwards. We'll have the water that's in process of being cooled using that system we just put in. And then we have the gas / liquid outside that's in the process of getting down to, around 128 or so. And obviously, so basically you have these 3 stages, and we can overlap, like the first and the last stage can operate independently of each other. I think the middle one, we're actually cooling, well, that can operate independently of the first stage of outside cooling. So I kind of play with the dials and try to remember what I was doing and go over here and do something useful, like eating some French fries. Got a lot of gardening in here, needs to get tended to. They need like superfoods, I mean, take another level. Maybe they can always add that later, like for example, 500%, food being filled and 500 hydration type thing. I mean, it should be interesting to get to that point. Like, for example, I think French fries and a cake have the same 175 hydration, which I think is unfair. The cake seems to be a lot more work to make. Especially anything with eggs should be a bigger boost, because you got to at least have chickens and whatnot. Assuming you don't buy the eggs, which I guess are real expensive if you can find them. Although I haven't priced them lately. No, wrong way. And voila. Let's keep this thing going here. land and look at what I need to go outside. My suit on, got a bunch of frames, a bunch of make sure that's turned off. Let's see, we got everything interesting with this trader here. Speaking of eggs, okay, there's not a carton of eggs is only 50. Okay, that's not bad, really. Not that I have any cash right now. Sell. That's not worth the effort. Trying to space out. So this is going to be set 5 by 9, not including the walkway. So outside the walkway. Now in the center 3, you'll see a. I'll go down. This will be a future staircase in the middle there. I thought about making that area larger and have sort of a locker room in between the floors, like I do on the moon base, my moon series. But I decided not to do that because I was worried about the I start installing the furnaces in here and whatnot. That causes a problem running out of room. I'm not sure how I want to build those units out. So I figured, well, we'll just go ahead. And this is my great wireless battery. Died. And I realized that's not going to be too useful for a massive welding project. What I really need is a nuclear battery for this. So we'll swap there and get this thing going. Make a mad dash back to outside. And weld. And what I noticed is a little sped up. This is 2.5. And get the ones down here. That makes it real obvious from below where the staircase will be, so that makes it a little easier. So effectively, we'll have all the frames in and welded by the end of this episode, which is coming up pretty quickly here. We won't have the walls up, and then the next episode we'll roll the walls up and get a vacuum going. And once we have that active vent going off, almost fell in the pit there. Trying to milk that wireless battery a little bit. Okay. Well, we're gonna actually I don't finish welding up. We're gonna call it quits here, and we'll continue work on it in the next episode. Until then, see ya.